I've never been kissed, she said, and the wind carried her words out across the desert like a fragile confession set loose from a trembling heart. The horizon burned gold beneath the sinking sun, and the wooden porch creaked softly beneath their boots as if the old frontier house itself understood that something sacred had just been spoken. She stood there with her hands clasped tightly in front of her faded green dress, knuckles pale, chin lifted in defiance of her own fear. She was not ashamed, but she was exposed. There is a difference. One is weakness. The other is courage dressed in vulnerability. He watched her with eyes that had seen war, betrayal, loss, and survival. An Apache warrior shaped by hardship and honor, he did not move immediately. The desert had taught him patience. The hunt had taught him timing. And life had taught him that the most powerful moments are the ones you approach slowly. I've never been kissed, she repeated, softer this time, as though testing whether the world would laugh at her innocence. But he did not laugh. He leaned one shoulder against the wooden post, studying her the way a man studies something rare and easily broken. Let's start slow, he said at last, his voice low and steady, not demanding, not mocking, but offering. Offering what? Not just a kiss. Not just closeness. He was offering trust. The space between them felt alive, charged with something deeper than attraction. She had come west to escape a life where her voice was small and her choices were smaller. In the town she had left behind, men spoke over her, around her, for her. Here, on the edge of the wild frontier, she was learning to speak for herself. And what terrified her most was not his strength, or the revolver at his hip, or the stories whispered by settlers who feared what they did not understand. What terrified her was how safe she felt standing near him. Safety has a way of unraveling walls we worked hard to build. He stepped closer. Not enough to touch, just enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. Slow means you can stop me, he said quietly. Slow means I listen. No man had ever said that to her before. No man had ever suggested that her comfort mattered. Her breath hitched, and the desert wind tangled a loose strand of her red hair against her cheek. He resisted the instinct to brush it away. Even that, he understood, must be earned. Why me? She whispered. He did not answer right away. Instead, he glanced out toward the endless land stretching beyond the porch. Because you look at me like I am a man, not a rumor. The words settled into her bones. She had heard the rumors. Savage. Dangerous. Untamed. Yet the man before her was controlled strength, deliberate motion, discipline wrapped in quiet intensity. She realized something in that moment. Sometimes the world paints monsters where there are only misunderstood warriors. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is look past fear long enough to see the truth. He lifted his hand slowly, giving her every second to pull away. She did not. His fingers hovered near her jaw, close enough that she could feel the air shift but not close enough to claim contact. Tell me if this is too much, he said. She swallowed, heart pounding like distant drums. It's not. His fingers brushed lightly against her cheek, barely there, a whisper of touch. It was not possession. It was permission. Her eyes fluttered closed for just a moment, overwhelmed by how something so gentle could feel so powerful. She had imagined her first kiss as a dramatic collision of passion. Instead, it felt like the careful opening of a door. You're shaking, he murmured. So are you, she replied, surprising them both. And it was true. Strength does not mean the absence of vulnerability. Even warriors tremble when something matters. He leaned closer, slow enough that she could feel the intention before the contact. His forehead rested lightly against hers. No kiss yet. Just closeness. Just shared breath. Just two worlds meeting in the quiet space between fear and trust. This, he said softly, is how we start. She exhaled a laugh that was half relief, half disbelief. You're not what they said you were. And you are braver than you think you are. In that suspended moment, the desert seemed to hold its breath with them. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in streaks of fire and amber. He did not rush. He did not take. He waited. And when she tilted her chin upward, her choice, her movement, her decision, their lips met in the softest, briefest touch imaginable. It was not hungry. It was not wild. It was reverent. The kind of kiss that says I see you. The kind that says you are safe here. She pulled back first, eyes wide, as if expecting the earth to split open. Instead, she found him smiling faintly, not triumphant but grateful. That, he said, was slow. Her laugh rang brighter now, no longer fragile. Something inside her had shifted. Not because she had been kissed, but because she had been respected. The frontier was a harsh place, full of dust and danger and uncertain tomorrows. But in that small pocket of time on a weathered wooden porch, she discovered a truth many spend lifetimes seeking. Love that begins with patience builds a foundation fear cannot easily shake. As the sky darkened and the first stars emerged, she realized her confession had not been weakness. It had been the opening of a story still unwritten. And sometimes, the most powerful beginnings start with 3 simple words and a promise to go slow. If this moment stirred something in you, if you believe in love built on respect and courage, stay with this story and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next, because this was only the beginning. The night settled gently over the desert, but neither of them moved from the porch. The air cooled, carrying the scent of dry earth and distant mesquite, and she wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders, though she suspected it was not the chill making her shiver. It was the awareness that her life had quietly pivoted in a new direction. A single kiss should not hold that kind of power. Yet when something is given freely, when it is offered with care rather than taken in haste, it changes you. He sensed her thoughts turning inward. You're thinking too loudly, he teased softly. She smiled, gaze fixed on the darkening horizon. I'm wondering what happens now. He considered that. A lesser man might have answered with promises too large to keep. But he had learned that real strength lies in honesty. Now, he said, we learn each other. She turned to him fully. And if we don't like what we learn? He did not flinch. Then we walk away knowing we tried with honor. There it was again. That word woven through everything he did. Honor. It was not the loud, boastful kind. It was quiet and immovable, like the mountains carved by centuries of wind. She realized that what drew her to him was not danger or rebellion. It was steadiness. In a world that shifted beneath her feet, he stood firm. But even mountains carry scars. She reached for his hand this time, her choice echoing his earlier patience. His fingers tightened around hers, surprised but pleased. You've seen loss, she said gently. It was not a question. His jaw flexed. The desert had taken from him. So had men who wanted land more than peace. Yes. Does it make you afraid? She asked. He studied her hand in his. It makes me careful. She nodded, understanding blooming between them like a fragile desert flower after rain. I don't want to be careful forever, she admitted. I want to be brave. He stepped closer again, closing the space without overwhelming it. Bravery isn't loud, he said. It's choosing to care even when you know you can be hurt. She absorbed that, heart steadying. The world had told her innocence was something to lose quickly, something embarrassing to shed. But tonight she understood that innocence was not ignorance. It was hope unbroken. And hope is powerful. A coyote howled in the distance, a reminder that the frontier did not soften for romance. Danger existed. Prejudice existed. Tomorrow would not magically become easy. Yet standing there, she felt stronger than she had in years. If we do this, she said carefully, we do it as equals. His expression grew serious. There is no other way. She believed him. Not because he said the words, but because his actions had already proven them true. He had waited. He had listened. He had asked. Those are not the habits of a man seeking control. They are the habits of a man seeking partnership. She stepped off the porch, tugging his hand gently. Walk with me. They moved out into the open land, boots brushing through dry grass under a sky now scattered with stars. Each step felt symbolic, as though they were walking into something larger than themselves. Tell me something you've never told anyone, he said quietly. She hesitated only a moment. I used to pray that someone would see me before I disappeared into a life I didn't choose. He stopped walking. You will never disappear with me. The conviction in his voice sent warmth through her veins. Your turn, she said. He exhaled slowly. I was taught that loving outside my people would bring only pain. The admission hung heavy between them. She squeezed his hand. And what do you believe now? He looked down at her, moonlight catching in his dark eyes. I believe pain comes whether you love or not. So you might as well love bravely. She smiled, tears threatening but not falling. That was it. That was the answer she hadn't known she needed. Love was not the absence of risk. It was the decision that someone was worth the risk. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss against her knuckles this time, reversing their earlier roles, showing her that affection can be layered, patient, unfolding. Slow, he reminded her softly. Slow, she echoed. They stood there beneath the endless sky, two souls rewriting the rules handed to them by fear and history. The desert did not change overnight. Neither would the world around them. But something had shifted inside their hearts, and that was where revolutions truly begin. She rested her head lightly against his shoulder. No trembling now, only quiet certainty. The future remained unwritten, but for the first time, it did not frighten her. Because whatever came, it would be faced with mutual respect, shared courage, and a love that had begun not with urgency, but with understanding. And sometimes, the strongest relationships are not the ones that ignite like wildfire, but the ones that build like embers, steady, enduring, impossible to extinguish. If this story moved you, if you believe in love that grows with patience and strength, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join us for more journeys like this, where courage meets connection and every ending is just another powerful beginning.